Hello, everyone. I'm Anna Baker, and honestly, I don't know where to begin. At 31, my marketing career is thriving, and I thought I had a good handle on my family's complicated dynamics. But everything shifted when my younger sister, Chloe, began planning her wedding. I was excited to help her create her dream day, but it quickly became evident that complications were lurking around every corner. The specter of our father, Andrew, loomed large. Since his divorce, he had changed drastically, drowning his sorrows in alcohol and making questionable decisions. His latest blunder, a new girlfriend named Vanessa. From the moment I met her, I felt something was off. One day, while we were choosing flowers, Chloe looked at me, concern etched on her face. Anna, do you think Dad will actually show up sober? Her eyes sparkled with hope. I forced a reassuring smile, saying, I really hope so, for your sake. But deep down, I wasn't convinced that hope alone would be enough. As the wedding day approached, I found myself less of a maid of honor and more of a referee, constantly trying to manage the chaos. Thankfully, my boyfriend, Mark, was my rock through it all. He often reminded me, babe, you can't control everything. I knew he was right, but I couldn't shake my worry. If Dad messes this up for Chloe, I'll never forgive him. Little did I know, things were about to spiral further out of control. A week before the wedding, I caught up with my best friend, Laura, over coffee. Always the voice of reason. I knew I needed her insight. What's really going on with you and Vanessa? She asked, eyeing me knowingly, lowering my voice. I glanced around, half expecting someone to overhear. There's something not right about her, Laura. She latched onto Dad too quickly, and I overheard her whispering to him about some big score coming up. Laura's eyes widened in alarm. Do you think she's scamming him? I can't be sure, I admitted, but I intend to find out. That conversation ignited a fire in me. I spent countless late nights scrolling through social media and discreetly calling some of Dad's old friends, piecing together the unsettling puzzle. With every clue I uncovered, I grew more anxious about what I might discover. The day before the wedding, while making last-minute arrangements at the venue, Dad and Vanessa showed up unannounced. Daddy, Chloe squealed, rushing to hug him. I hung back, studying them closely. Vanessa's eyes darted around the room, calculating, while Dad slurred, my little girl. All grown up. My heart sank, he was already drunk. Andrew, darling, let's check out the bar, Vanessa said smoothly, throwing me a smug glance as they walked away. A wave of anger surged within me, but I fought to keep my composure for Chloe's sake. She turned to me, tears shimmering in her eyes. Anna, I didn't let her finish. Instead, I pulled her into a tight hug, whispering, don't worry, sis, tomorrow is all about you and Matt. Nothing will ruin it. If only I had known how naive that sentiment was. They say there's always a calm before the storm. Ours was brewing, ready to strike like a hurricane. As I held my little sister close, I made a silent vow to protect her happiness. At that moment, I had no inkling that I would be fighting for much more than just a flawless wedding day. The ceremony itself was stunning. Chloe radiated beauty, and for a fleeting moment, the family drama seemed to fade. Standing by her side, witnessing her exchange vows with Matt, I felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, we could get through the day without a hitch. I yearned for Chloe to have this perfect moment, but that delicate hope shattered the instant we stepped into the reception. I spotted Dad almost immediately, slumped by the bar, intoxicated, with Vanessa clinging to him like a lifeline. My heart sank further. You okay? Mark whispered, sensing my distress. I just have to hold it together for Chloe, I murmured, forcing a smile, but deep down, I knew it was only a matter of time before things unraveled. As the night progressed, the tension in the room became unbearable. Dad's laughter echoed, his movements growing increasingly erratic. Vanessa's eyes roamed the crowd, a strange gleam that made my skin crawl. Anna, Dad's making a scene, Chloe whispered, worry lacing her voice. I'll take care of it, I promised, trying to sound composed. I approached Dad, who was attempting a wildly uncoordinated Macarena, laughing as if nothing was amiss. Dad, let's step outside for some fresh air, I suggested, trying to maintain my calm. Nonsense, he slurred, I'm celebrating my baby girl's big day. He attempted a twirl but nearly toppled over. Vanessa appeared at his side, tightening her grip on him. Leave him alone, he's having fun, she snapped. This isn't about fun, it's about respecting Chloe on her special day, I retorted, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Vanessa's eyes narrowed, and she sneered, you think you're so perfect, don't you? Always trying to control everything. The argument escalated quickly. We moved to a quieter corner of the room, but our voices rose with every exchange. You don't know anything about our family, I shot back, frustration boiling over. I know one thing, she hissed. Your daddy prefers my company over yours. That was the breaking point. Is that before or after you drained him of his money, Vanessa? I snapped, my voice trembling with rage, her expression contorted with fury, and before I could react, she lunged at me, removing her heeled sandal and swinging it toward my head. Time seemed to slow as the heel connected with my temple, pain radiating through my skull. Guests screamed, chaos erupted, and the world around us turned into a blur of noise and confusion. In the midst of the chaos, my focus remained on Chloe. How had it come to this? I had vowed to protect her happiness, yet her wedding day had spiraled into a nightmare. I caught sight of Chloe's horrified expression as Matt held her back, panic etched on her face. Security rushed in, quickly restraining Vanessa, who was screaming obscenities at anyone who dared to approach. It was utter pandemonium. I stood frozen as the police arrived, leading Vanessa away in handcuffs. In that fleeting moment, I caught a glimpse of Dad. He looked utterly lost and broken. That was when I realized our lives would never be the same again. The days following the wedding were a blur. Between police reports, interviews, and sleepless nights, I felt like I was trapped in a waking nightmare. Every little sound sent jolts of fear through me, and the image of Vanessa lunging at me with that sandal replayed relentlessly in my mind. Mark, my unwavering support through all of this, would hold me close whenever the nightmares hit. You're safe now, Anna, he whispered, trying to soothe me. But how could I feel safe when my father's girlfriend had tried to attack me at my sister's wedding? How do you begin to heal from something like that? A week later, I visited Chloe, who was understandably a wreck. She couldn't even meet my gaze. All those months of planning, she said, her voice heavy with despair. And for what? My wedding will always be remembered as the day someone tried to hurt my sister. Chloe, I'm so sorry, I started, guilt flooding over me like a tide, but she shook her head, cutting me off. I know it's not your fault, Anna, but I can't shake this feeling that our family is cursed or something. As Chloe struggled to cope with her pain, Dad remained in complete denial. He bombarded me with phone calls, leaving voicemails that only fueled my anger. Anna, sweetie, let's not blow this out of proportion, he'd say. Vanessa was just upset, she didn't mean any harm. Hearing him defend her after everything she had done was infuriating. The final straw came when he showed up at my apartment, the smell of alcohol clinging to him like a shroud. I opened the door to find him swaying slightly, his eyes glassy and unfocused. Dad, you need to leave, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But Pumpkin, we're family, we need to stick together, he slurred, sounding pathetic. I felt something harden within me as I looked at him. No, Dad, we're done, I can't do this anymore. The hurt in his eyes almost made me falter, almost. But as I closed the door, I knew I had to stand firm. I knew confronting my father was the right thing to do. Meanwhile, Laura, my fiercely determined best friend, had begun digging into Vanessa's past. What we uncovered left me utterly speechless. Anna, look at this, Laura said one evening, spreading a stack of papers across my coffee table. Vanessa has a record, assault, fraud, you name it. My stomach churned as I scanned the documents. How could Dad not know about this? Laura hesitated, biting her lip. That's the thing, Anna, I think he did. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. We discovered joint bank accounts and suspicious money transfers, evidence that Dad wasn't merely a victim, he was complicit in her schemes. Breaking the news to Chloe was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. We sat together in her kitchen, wedding gifts still piled in the corner, untouched. I can't believe it, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. How could he do this to us? I don't even know him anymore. I don't know who Dad is either, I replied softly, but we need to protect ourselves now. Chloe met my gaze, her expression shifting from shock to determination. I'm with you, Anna, always. Despite her words, guilt weighed heavily on me. I had exposed our father's crimes, and in doing so, I might have destroyed his life, but hadn't he already done that to himself? The swirling mix of anger, confusion, and guilt felt overwhelming. So I decided to seek help. That's how I found myself in a therapist's office, desperate to make sense of it all. Anna, it's normal to feel conflicted, my therapist, Dar Evans, reassured me during one session. You've been through something traumatic. You're grieving the loss of the father you thought you knew. I stared down at my hands, feeling torn, but shouldn't I hate him after everything he's done? There's no should when it comes to emotions, she explained kindly. What matters is that you acknowledge your feelings and work through them. Working through it sounded easy, but it was far from it. Still, as I left Dr. Evans's office that day, I felt a flicker of hope. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Maybe I could rebuild something positive from the ruins of my family's past. 4 months after the wedding disaster, I found myself in an unexpected place, happy. Despite everything, I had a strong support system. Chloe, Mark, Laura, and I had become an unbreakable team, our bond stronger than ever. One night, while we shared dinner at my apartment, Chloe raised her glass. To new beginnings, she toasted, and to family. The one we choose, I added, clinking glasses with my sister. The media had turned Vanessa's trial into a circus. Sitting in that courtroom, my stomach churned as her true nature was exposed for everyone to see. Dad sat beside me, looking utterly stunned as her criminal history came to light. But the real shock was yet to come. Laura and I had been hard at work gathering evidence of Dad's involvement in Vanessa's schemes. During the trial, our lawyer stood up and addressed the court. Your Honor, we have documentation proving Andrew Baker's involvement in Miss Lang's fraudulent activities. As the legal battle unfolded, my personal life took an unexpected turn for the better. My career began to flourish. One Sunday afternoon, my boss called me into his office. Anna, we're promoting you to Senior Marketing Director, he said with a smile. Your resilience and creativity over the past year have been outstanding. I left his office in a daze, immediately calling Mark to share the news. Babe, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you, he exclaimed, excitement radiating from his voice. Amidst all the chaos, Chloe and Matt made a beautiful decision. They chose to renew their vows. This time, it was an intimate ceremony in their backyard with only close friends and family. Second time's the charm, Matt joked, making Chloe giggle as they exchanged rings again. Watching them, I felt a wave of peace wash over me. We were finally healing, together. Then came the day of Vanessa's sentencing. The courtroom was thick with tension as the judge prepared to deliver the verdict. As I sat there, I reflected on how far we had come since that fateful wedding day. We had endured so much pain and betrayal, but somehow we had emerged stronger, ready to move forward. It wasn't easy, but we had found our way back to each other. The storm had passed, and we were finally finding our calm again. I stood up to deliver my victim impact statement, my hands trembling but my voice steady. The scars from that night run deep, I began, but they've made me stronger. I locked eyes with Vanessa, knowing this was my moment to reclaim my life. I'm here today not as a victim, but as a survivor. As Vanessa was led away in handcuffs, a profound sense of closure washed over me. It felt like a long, painful chapter of my life was finally coming to an end. The real celebration, however, came a month later. Chloe, Matt, Mark, Laura, and I gathered at my favorite restaurant to celebrate my promotion and everything we had overcome together. To Anna, Laura raised her glass, her smile radiant. The strongest person I know. I couldn't let her finish without adding, to all of us. I glanced around at the faces of the people who had stood by me through the hardest year of my life, proving that family isn't just about blood, it's about loyalty and love. As we laughed and shared stories, I felt something shift within me. I realized how much had changed. The past year had been a nightmare, but in a strange way, it had also been a gift. It showed me who truly mattered, taught me how strong I could be, and gave me the courage to cut out the negativity and toxic influences in my life. Sitting there, surrounded by genuine love and happiness, I knew this was my happy ending. It wasn't perfect, and it came with its scars, but it was real, and that made it beautiful. For the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful about the future. I was grateful for the family I had found and the strength I had discovered within myself. So, that's where my story ends, but I'm curious about your thoughts. If you were in my shoes, would you have given your father another chance after everything he did, or would you have maintained the boundaries I set? It's a tough decision, and I know many of you have faced similar struggles with toxic family members. I'd love to hear your experiences. Please share in the comments how you've navigated difficult family dynamics in your lives. If my story resonated with you, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more real-life stories and discussions about managing complicated family relationships.